On this week's episode of Tech Today, we're back at the Tech Today headquarters and we want to be back with a bang. That's why we've gotten something from the Apple Spring event right here on the Tech Today set, the iPhone SE 2022. Is it truly a phone from 2022? Well, we'll find that out. And of course, we'll be doing all sorts of weird gestures with one of the most expensive, premium, ultra luxurious Mercedes Maybachs. And of course, we also have an affordable set of earbuds on the other end of the spectrum. All that and a lot more on this episode of Tech Today. Well, it's always good to be back on the sets of Tech Today, where we believe tomorrow's technology should be explained today. But when you have a look at the iPhone SE 2022, the question on your mind automatically is this tomorrow's technology? Is this today's technology? Or is this technology from 2017? Yes, this phone looks like it's a phone straight out of 2017. In fact, it is identical to the iPhone 8 when you look at dimensions and the way it actually looks, the bezels. Please, I'm trying to avoid the bezels as much as possible, but they are there and they're quite a sight for sore eyes. But if you actually look at this phone as a package, you've got to look under the hood and understand that this comes with a very, very powerful chipset, perhaps the most powerful chipset out there, which is powering your iPads now and can take on the Snapdragon 8 on all these fancy flagship Android phones. The A15 Bionic chip is on the iPhone SE 2022. Also, since it's launched this year, it means that updates will continue for many years to come. Okay, spoiler alert, the phone is under 45,000 rupees. So if that's your budget and you come to me saying, Ayush, I have a budget of 45,000 rupees, which phone shall I buy? It is, well, quite a diverse set of options that I'd give you, because you have the OnePlus 9 RT, you have other phones from Asus and Xiaomi as well. So should you go for those Android phones or maybe something from Samsung, or consider the cheapest iPhone in the world? Well, if you want to enter the iPhone ecosystem, that means if you want to own an Apple Watch, maybe an iPad, and then of course you use all sorts of Apple devices, maybe a MacBook at home and AirPods, and you want to stay within that ecosystem, then this is the cheapest and most value for money entry into the ecosystem under 45,000 rupees. Because the new iPhone SE comes with a tiny full HD display. Yes, I know in 2022 to talk about a full HD display, LCD, when everyone is talking about AMOLEDs and 120Hz refresh rates, well, this, let's be honest, comes with an LCD display, not an AMOLED display. It comes with 60Hz refresh rate, and of course it has only a single camera on the back. And if you wanted night mode, well, then this phone doesn't come with night mode, but there are a few things that they've really done on the software front to make this, well, an interesting proposition for you. Now, this single rear camera, well, it looks like a blast from the past, but it'll do a decent job if you're looking at Instagram content or YouTube content. But then again, if you're taking semi-professional photos and you want it to look like a DSLR with those brilliant bokeh mode, portrait mode sort of shots, or even cinematic mode, none of that comes on this phone. It doesn't have the hardware capabilities, and frankly, software doesn't do the trick when you're comparing it to even the iPhone 12 mini. But it's kind of interesting, because if you compare this to an iPhone 12 mini and you're going for pure performance, maybe you're playing BGMI or Fortnite or one of those games, then you'll realize that this is way more powerful, because the A15 Bionic can actually give the A14 chip, which was last year's chipset, a run for its money. And that's what this has. It also means, strangely enough, that because this is a year newer than the iPhone 12 or 12 mini, this would give you a year more of updates. So that's kind of a very difficult sort of choice for you to make when it comes to what you want with this phone. But those are only the good things about the phone. Let's actually address the big elephant in the room. Now, the fact that they've stuck to the old Apple iPhone 8 design on the SE, even in 2022, is a double-edged sword. For people who aren't comfortable moving on to this swipe to unlock Face ID sort of system, this seems oddly, vaguely familiar, and maybe you like the fact that there's a Touch ID button. It's a button with, well, haptic feedback. It's not really a button, it's just a carving out there where it actually has haptic feedback, and then you have bezels all over. That's why I call it a double-edged sword. Because in 2022, when smartphone displays have evolved so much, especially the Samsung and LG displays, well then that's when you actually didn't want this sort of a bezel-like intrusive display, which is not at all immersive, and frankly, it doesn't matter if it has an A15 processor and fantastic software, because I can't really enjoy it with enough screen real estate. And that could be a big issue for people who use their phone for a little more than just answering calls and sending messages. If you want to view content on it, well then maybe the iPhone 12 mini or the iPhone 13 mini are a better bet. But the iPhone 12 mini and iPhone 13 mini, well, it looks like they're going to be discontinuing it soon, or that's what the rumor mill has been churning for a while. And statistics in India actually prove their point. Because if they do, you shouldn't be surprised. The iPhone SE in 2021 actually accounted for nearly 15% of Apple's sales in India, as opposed to the mini, which is the 12 mini or the 13 mini, which actually were just half or even lesser than half that amount. And that actually goes to show that people think this is perhaps a more value for money proposition. What's interesting is the real competition for the iPhone SE doesn't come from those Android phones I was talking about earlier, but if you're considering an iPhone or you want iOS or the Apple ecosystem, well then it comes from its elder siblings, which happen to be the iPhone 13, 13 mini, 12, 12 mini. But if we're looking at something which is almost in the same price range, if this is for 43,900 rupees, add a few thousand rupees more and you can get an iPhone 12 mini, which has, well, not so good a chipset, but then it has two cameras at the back, it has that cooler, newer design, and the most important thing, the display is more immersive because there aren't these bezels, or they're not as intrusive as the iPhone SE. But then if those things don't matter to you, then maybe you go for a bigger phone like the iPhone 12. You want cinematic mode, you come into the 13 or the 13 mini line. But this one becomes a slightly confusing option, right? So if I break it down for you, if you're okay with a phone which is essentially for just checking your mails, can control everything in the Apple ecosystem for you, can easily AirDrop when you're using an iPad, connects to your AirPods, gives you that Apple experience in the larger scheme of things, but doesn't have the world's best display, doesn't have the world's best camera system, and certainly doesn't have, well, battery or other features which would come for other phones in this money or for better iPhones as well. But if you think you want an iPhone on a budget, this, the world's cheapest iPhone, well, then this is your only bet. And it's not that bad if you don't judge a book by its cover. Well, there you have it, the iPhone SE 2022 in product red. Well, big things can come in small packages. Cut! All right, we're done. It's still rolling? Okay, so essentially what I wanted to say in the next segment is that we talk about smartphones and all kinds of cool products and wearables and what's happening in the EV space, all things policy, crypto, regulatory. This is your one-stop shop Tech Today. But we also like to do cool things and cover innovation and tech, and sometimes things work and sometimes things don't. What I'm trying to do is gesture control. The easier way to do this is to just do it yourself, DIY. But my friend Shivan was at the Mercedes showroom and he was having a little bit of fun with the Maybach. Well, he clearly seems to understand how to use gesture control. Have a look.
So while most cars have us starting from the driver's seat, today I'm going to take a different approach. We're going to start with the rear seat because this specific car, the Mercedes S580 Maybach, has way too many features to offer for the rear passengers, and it responds to hand gestures. Just to support the hand gesture, there is a button over here which helps you close the door and open it as well. Now, if I want to close the door now, I just need to press on this and it'll start. And if I leave it, I just need to press it once and the door closes. I'll open it again. There's one more thing I want you to see. And this is to do with the hand gesture. Once you've gestured the door to close, you can just get your hand gently over here to stop it as well if you don't want it to close fully. So we do it like that. And it stops as well. So you'll find something slightly different in these seat belts as well. They're thicker than the usual ones because there are embedded airbags in these seat belts for the rear passengers. So there is one more feature in the car which was used with hand gestures. It is this panoramic sunroof. To open it, I just need to gesture like this and it opens up. And if I wanted to close, I just need to do this and it closes. So all the seats in the car will give you the option of a very nice massage. If you're sitting on this seat, there is this button which you just need to press on. It will recline the car. The front seat goes further, the headrest comes down, and now the seat is reclining. I see the screen in front of me has also adjusted itself. The calf support raises my legs. It has automatically forced me into a more comfortable position, and there is a footrest which comes out from the front seat. This all happens automatically with the press of one button. So there is this 11.6-inch screen that you're getting for the rear passengers. It's attached to the front seat and it pretty much controls everything that I need. You can change the ambient lighting and you'll see it popping. Basically the entire car configuration as far as the colors are concerned, it's going to change, like the theme you can change. And there are a number of options. There are about 12 options that you're getting over here. Now the interesting thing is that everything that I can do from here, I can also do with this remote. So this is a wireless and I just need to choose this, and basically what you're seeing there, you'll see here as well. It is connected with the screen in front because I don't need to now bend forward and like control everything that is there on this screen. I can just switch it off, and here is where I'll get to operate everything else. So the air conditioning for the rear seats is obviously also controlled from the panel over here. But obviously if I don't want to bend that far in front and then operate everything, we can do it with the tab as well. This is for the rear seat on the left. I can increase the temperature. As I'm increasing it here, it's also increasing over there. So I've brought it up to 19 degrees and that is what I'm seeing here as well. If I put it on auto mode, I've switched on auto from here and it's gone into auto mode there as well. Same thing goes for the seat on the right. Basically everything is right here and this goes over here. There is one panel right here where there is wireless charging. Just need to place my phone and the light comes on and the phone is charging. I can just close it. There you go. We're going to come to the front seat now, and an interesting aspect are these seamless door handles. So when you unlock the car, they pop out. And you can just do this to unlock, or you can open it here. Everything else that you found on the rear side, you are going to find it here as well. Like the entire panel, the screen is bigger, but all the options that you got on the rear screen, they are here as well. There is a fingerprint scanner over here with which you can feed in all your preferred settings. You can save them with your fingerprint. The car is loaded with over 30 speakers by Burmester, and the speakers are spread all over the car. So you can see 3 within the front door itself, and they're embedded in all the doors, front and rear. Experience that they give you, because there are certain speakers ingrained in the car as well. Now another interesting thing is just a design feature. I feel you increase the volume and you find these speakers rotating as well. So that's pretty much all I had to tell you about the Mercedes S580, the Maybach. And this one's going to cost about 2.5 crores. The 680 costs 3.2 crores. Now this is one of the finest cars money can buy. Now there is a saying regarding the Maybach that the ones who actually want to buy the car, they never ask for test drives. And those who ask for test drives never end up buying the car. Do you want a test drive? I know I want one. See you next time.
There you go. No gesture control, but we can always get the job done on the Tech Today sets. But Shivan, I am also the guy who takes the test drives and never manages to buy the car. Now, you're always doing the cool things on Tech Today when it comes to EVs and cool cars, but there's a lot more cool stuff on this show. And if you don't want to miss that sort of content, then you have to join us on the other side of this commercial break. Don't miss it.
But I think South Indian films have always been superb. I mean, I grew up, I remember Appu Raja, Pushpak, Mayor Sir. I was a big Kamal Haasan fan. Or even Rajnikant sir. Like, you know, we used to watch all of those films. I mean, obviously at that point of time, you could either watch the dubbed version Or I don't remember watching a subtitle version. I don't know if subtitle versions were there.
Right.
I'm just saying that I'm happier that line is blurring now, because we're watching stories for stories, entertainment for entertainment, content for content, and performance for performance. Perspectives, right? Everything is about timing. I'm saying maybe in the pandemic we went through a phase where you didn't know with theatre. I'm saying Pushpa is the best example, right? Because nobody knew what I mean, at least I can say for myself. When the trailer came, I thought, okay, there is another South Indian film which looks nice. But then when it became what it became a rage and like it became a craze. I don't think even the makers of that film knew that this is what's going to happen. So I think that's what films and stories are. You don't know what's going to work, when it's going to work, how it's going to be working. Because I don't know if Pushpa promoted it like a Hindi film in a way that a big Hindi film promotes itself. But it still found a voice. So I'm saying if anything to be learned there is that if you do the right thing with conviction, it will find an audience.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism. When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are watching India Today.
What's up guys, welcome back to Tech Today. Now on this part of the show, we like to dedicate this segment to audiophiles, people who like their truly wireless earbuds. Now forget about the AirPods and the Galaxy Buds and the Nothing Buds. What if you want a premium brand with an affordable offering? That's what Sony claims with their new affordable earbuds, but Jinook is going to test that claim. So have a look. Actually, wait, have a listen.
Sony has expensive earbuds and not so expensive earbuds. Of course, you get what you pay for, but sometimes it really helps to get something that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg for, or maybe 20,000 bucks for. Meet the Sony WF-C500. At Rs 5,990, the Sony WF-C500 promises 20 hours of battery life with the charging case. You can use these earbuds with Google Assistant and with Siri, and you can also use the Sony Headphones app on your smartphone to calibrate your sound experience better. Now, the Sony WF-C500 has 5.8mm drivers and supports the company's proprietary digital sound enhancement engine, or as they call it, DSEE. It is IPX4 certified, so it can handle water splashes. You can wear it to the gym, but do not wear it out in the rain or don't take it for a swim. The Sony WF-C500 supports Android Fast Pair and Swift Pair for easy connectivity, and the buttons on the buds allow users to control playback and the volume. Additionally, these buds have a Bluetooth chip that, as Sony says, should deliver lag-free sound. The WF-C500 promises 20 hours of playback on a single charge with the charging case. Without the charging case, you get 10 hours of playback. There's also fast charging tech on this, so for about 10 minutes of charge, you get 1 hour of playback on these buds. Now, we've told you exactly what all you do get with the Sony WF-C500, but what do you not get? What you don't get is ANC or active noise cancellation. ANC or active noise cancellation is something that a lot of earbuds and headphones come with nowadays. What that tech does is it cuts out all the ambient noise and gives you a clear sound experience on the headphones. Sony has not included ANC on these earbuds, but for Rs 5,990, that's kind of a bummer because there are other earbuds out in the market that do support this technology and are in the same price range. For example, Nothing's Ear One. Now, if ANC is a big deal for you, you might want to give these earbuds a miss. But believe you me when I say this, these sound absolutely great. And for Rs 5,990, these are Sony's most affordable earbuds yet. These Sony earbuds are also super light, and you also get extra tips in the box for a better fit. Now, before I wrap up, I don't claim to be this team's dedicated audiophile, but we have something super exciting coming for you next week.
It's time for my favorite part of the show where you get all your tech queries answered on Tech Today. And you've written in as always, but we have two very relevant questions given what's happened in the past week in the tech world and largely here in India, because technology is obviously a global phenomenon, but we want to focus a lot of what Indians are really doing in the world of technology and what's really happening in the consumer side, on the enterprise side, and of course on the policy side as well. But there's one particular product which really seems to catch your fancy, and it's really caught our fancy in the lockdowns and the last 2 years of working from home. That happens to be fitness trackers and smartwatches. We've covered a few on the show, and I think that's what's prompted Ankit Vinod Kumar Mishra. Ankit, I'm so glad you're watching the show. He writes, can smartwatches actually help with health tracking? Of course, he's asked this question on the Business Today Twitter handle, and of course, you can also do that in subsequent episodes. Well, Ankit, that question's very relevant because a lot of us consider these Apple watches and Samsung watches and Garmin's as these ideal fitness and smartwatch-like companions. But there are certain health features on these devices that can actually, well, save lives. That's exactly what happened with 34-year-old resident of Haryana, Yamunanagar, Nitesh Chopra, who actually was rushed to a hospital after an ECG reading on his Apple Watch showed irregularities. Now, often when you're using the Apple Watch, it gives you these irregular heartbeat notifications. It also tells you if you're going into AF, you can take ECGs as well, and it also notifies your emergency contacts. The Samsung Watch can do similar things as well, and other trackers can as well. But the Apple Watch around the world seems to have garnered a lot of attention for this. Was this all pure marketing? Well, we actually found out that this was a genuine case where this happened. In fact, Nitesh Chopra is also from the medical fraternity, and he complained of not feeling well a few days ago. He complained of chest pain and a burning sensation in his chest area. So in severe distress, the 34-year-old sought the help of the Apple Watch to monitor his heart rate, which actually advised him to visit a doctor at the earliest. So Dr. Bhupinder Singh Gabba, a senior doctor at the Gabba Hospital Center, Yamuna, who actually examined Nitesh on arrival, said that the 34-year-old had suffered from a heart attack. Dr. Singh was obviously very impressed with the Apple Watch for its successful diagnosis, adding that the timely detection had actually helped save a life. Following Nitesh's successful operation, his wife Neha wrote an email to CEO Tim Cook acknowledging the role the watch had played in alerting her husband of his health problems. She actually thanked Tim Cook in this email, and we have a copy of the email because we'd reached out to the couple here on Tech Today, and this is what Tim Cook had to say. And yes, Tim Cook actually replied to Neha and Nitesh and actually thanked them for sharing their story and of course wish them well. And that's quite fascinating that this is a true story where we at India Today, at Tech Today and Business Today, we've gone and actually found out that this happened and verified it for you. It's not just social media marketing, this actually happened. So maybe if you use technology in a positive way, well, it can do wonders and actually save lives. Well, that of course was the good side of technology being showcased, but then there's the ugly side as well, the flip side to a good news story like that. And that's actually been happening in India when it comes to EVs, more specifically e-scooters, which actually brings me to the next question, which comes in from Amrit Shukla. Amrit says, after recent news, Aayush, do you think electric scooters are actually safe to buy in India? And I think that's a very relevant question given what's been happening in India over the past few days. Amrit, I understand where that skepticism or that trepidation comes from, because at the end of the day, there have been 4 fires, 4 such incidents of e-scooters bursting into flames, batteries really failing, and of course, it's a very hot summer here in India. But why aren't battery management systems, why isn't the tech behind these electric scooters really seeming to work? And that's a question not only are tech enthusiasts asking that question, but there's also, well, the government who's actually ordered a probe into those 4 incidents. And it's not with one company, it's happened with several companies. So I can't really say one company, well, is safer than the other. There are battery management systems, there are many things that go wrong. Well, it's important to point out that while there were 4 such incidents of e-scooters erupting into flames, none of these were really singling out any particular brand. It involved Ola electric scooters. There was also an incident reported with Okinawa. The companies have come out with statements, some of them at least, and the government is really ordering a probe into this. As tech enthusiasts, we need to watch very carefully, cautiously optimistic about what went wrong. Of course, none of these were legacy companies, and the other thing that seems to be common is that all of them were using lithium-ion batteries in terms of the technology. But the real question is, what went wrong with these particular e-scooters? Why on earth are these batteries exploding? Of course, it's a hot summer, but at Business Today and Tech Today, when we spoke to experts, they told us it could be for a number of reasons. Battery health, and we've discussed this on Tech Today with fast charging and hypercharging and dash charging on smartphones. Well, of course, it's lithium-ion batteries at play, and there are many things that actually work and don't work when it comes to battery health. It could be thermal management, battery management systems, how that whole interfaces, how well they look at how the energy is conserved on those batteries, how it's dissipated, how the thermal management is done, how the cells are packed within that battery, how fast charging works, what are the safeguards and measures to actually prevent some sort of issues with fast charging. So while as technology enthusiasts we're really excited about, well, EVs and fast charging, we need to take one step back and have a nice look at this technology and perhaps work out a safer and better way to move forward. Well, on Tech Today, we're trying to build the biggest tech community on the planet. That's why we want you to ask all your tech queries and also write into us on our social media handles. Tell us what you liked about the show, what you didn't like about the show maybe, and also things that you'd like featured on the show, including some of your tech questions. That's about all the time we have on this show. I'm your host, Aayush Ailawadi, saying until next week, adios.
The month of Ramadan begins. The month of Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar and it is observed by Muslims worldwide. What are the key practices of Islam? Islam is based on 5 key practices.